This is the commentary for my world record speedrun of Spyro the Dragon 120%. This run was set on March 17th, 2025 after a 5-month PB drought and 12 years total of playing just this category, which sounds just insane to say out loud. I mean, even if we're being conservative, at least the last 3 to 6 years of my life have been spent on an average of 15 hours a week playing this game, if not more. So I think it's safe to say this category is pretty much optimized as it's ever humanly going to be. Now, with that said, I would love for someone to come along and try to challenge this time, but just know if you decide to undertake this great journey that it will take many years at this point to match a run like this, and I hope somebody can join me in that fight to see what the human limit of playing a video game quickly is from our childhood. So with that said, this commentary is going to be a one single segment talk, not a highly edited thing. If you want to see a more in-depth talking about every little camera manipulation, for example, here in Sunny Flight, I actually use the camera to turn the planes more in my favor. So that way they're in a nice line here and I can grab them. But if you want to hear more like in-depth edited commentary, speeding up and slowing down through boring and interesting sections, check out down below. I have a more kind of tomato anus style M Sushi speedrun YouTuber type thing if you want to see something like that. But for now, I'm just going to be kicking back, fucking just enjoying the fruits of my many years of labor. I make a big point out of having speedran the game for so long because I think it's hard to put into words just how optimized this not just this category, but this entire speed game is. I mean, in Any% and Vortex and Cheat%, I mean, there are dozens of people, like a revolving door of people over the last almost 2 decades now, just completely just breaking apart this game. I mean, it's cool to see that one of my favorite games from my childhood has so much love and attention still being put into it more than 20 years later. What is it? Almost 30 years later. So anyways, yeah, I guess on that note, I do want to shout out some of the people that have been sharing strats in the Discord and, showing love and inspirations to me. Like, of course, I gotta shout out Piggy Bank and Squid and Days Bag of Bones, who have been probably the main strat pioneers in recent memory, at least in 2025, we'll say. There's a lot of routes and strats that they came up with that I'll point out here that I don't do in previous records. For example, going left here in Dark Hollow and doing this fucking jump. Look at this. Hold up. Yeah, that. I had to sit up in my chair to see that. Which, by the way, I'll fade away my camera here so that way you can see my live reaction to certain things, or if I ever talk about anything. Which I have to mention this also is, by some miracle coincidence of God, the universe willed that I should talk at the beginning of this run about what speedrunners say during world record VODs. Like, I had no idea this speedrun was going to get world record, but I was just thinking in my mind, okay, like, speedrunners just be like this. I love dicks, I love dicks, I love, just saying stupid shit at the beginning of their world record speedrun. And then lo and behold, just on one fateful stream, at the same run, I get world record. So it's just fate, fate just be like that, guys. I can't explain it. Like, I swear to God, it wasn't scripted. It's not movie magic. I'm not cheating behind the scenes. So yeah, like, just silly stuff. Nice bonk there. You can actually jump up to those red gems without going to that first platform, but it's pretty tough. There's like a few different ways to do it. Which I think I'll talk a little bit about once we see some of those types of boosted jumps, for example, that Days and other people kind of pioneered little micro strats. Okay, so let me kind of try to tell you guys what the state of time saves are in this game, because the main routes through all of the gems and levels and dragons, in case you don't know, we need all of the gems, dragons, and egg thieves to get 120%, 120 instead of 100 because there's an extra level at the end. Okay, so now you know. In order to save time in a category like this, you really need to micro-optimize like little tiny get gem collections, like stretch sparks as far as you can to like grab some of these flame charges, making the gems home in by flaming and charging. Okay, I'm getting off on a tangent here, but my point is that optimizations are very small and minute in this category. They really, you're not going to see like a 20, 30 plus second time save found in the near future for this game, or more than that. Pretty much everything short of balloonist skip has been found, and even if such a trick were found, balloonist skip, it wouldn't really affect this category in that serious of a way. Who knows, maybe it would, but you know, at the beginning of this run, pretty much everything that was going to be found that's a big time save, like skipping Nasty Nork, that was found back in 2014. Skipping Nestor, who's the only unskippable dragon dialogue, that was found in 2023 by Days Vagabones, who I shouted out earlier. In fact, a lot of runners, even now today in 2025, don't choose not to go for Nestor skip, because even though it's a 16-second time save in this category, it's just like so precise and annoying to be sitting there and resetting. Even if you're like good at the trick like me, it still can take me 5, 10, 15 minutes just to get a run going at the very start, trying to get this silly flop on top of the dragon. Which, if you want more information on that trick and some of the more, again, mechanical stuff about this run, please check out my more in-depth kind of infotainment, National Geographic fucking commentary of this. Yeah, this is more just me kind of reacting, you know, to the vibes and just reflecting. You know, it's been about a week since this record at the time of my recording this. And I gotta say, it still really doesn't feel real to have such a low time in this category. When I started, the world record was about 141 back in like 2013. And since then, I would say in total, there was probably about, let's say 2 to 4 minutes of time saves found in this game, if we include credit skip, Nestor skip, and alternate routing of levels. And so if you take that into consideration, 141 in 2013 minus 4 minutes, let's say 5 minutes, let's say, of just time saves in game knowledge, that's still over 10 minutes, like 10 to 12 minutes of just raw execution time save between then and now. And the types of records that Chris and Surreal and Saboom were getting back in 2013, 2014, 2015 is when I would say the actual movement of this game was really starting to get optimized. So now it's really just getting to a point where we're like trying to perfect it, like perfect the route, perfect the movement, make as little mistakes as possible. And so that's kind of what I'm talking about when I'm talking about like this category is really optimized now, where this run just had a really strong pace and held it all the way to the end. That's really all it was, you know? I mean, maybe that's like an obvious thing to say, but with so many few and far between time saves and so much reliant on just your raw execution, you just really have to be locked in on a game like this to not just lose big swaths of time. Because at this level, you can play a category with a level. Pardon me. At this level, you can play a level without mistakes and still like not lose. You'll still lose a lot of time even without making mistakes. That took me a while to get those words out. You'll have to excuse me. I may have smoked a little bit of God's green ganja before this commentary. All right. But yeah, just reflecting a little bit. I mean, it was just such a once-in-a-lifetime run. Any run that you get that's under like an hour, 21 minutes of this game, it really does feel like a once-in-a-lifetime kind of run. I've only ever gotten a handful of 120s, let alone this 119. So anyways, I'll talk about the game a little bit more here. You can jump off the second stair there, and you can flame charge and jump the thieves in order to skip their animation. Let me just kind of rattle off a few other just common things that get asked about just mechanics-wise. The end of flight levels, you have to crash into a solid object in order to save time. I'll mention that when we see it. And in order to make gems home in, as I kind of mentioned earlier from flames, you have to charge precisely into the gem's spawn point from when you flame something. So like anytime you flame an enemy or a box, the gem spawns like and pops into the air. So if you charge over that spawn point precisely, then you'll kind of trick the game into thinking you charged it. So pay attention with these boxes. You'll see I flame and then the gems home in. That doesn't normally happen unless you very specifically go for that type of spawn collection. We call it a flame charge, basically. Now here we press triangle and then jump charge in order to get some extra momentum before the jump here, landing on specific polygons and going out of bounds to get into Toasty. Toasty's head doesn't open normally unless you exit through one of the return home vortices like in Stonehill or Dark Hollow. So we enter through the back that way, which ends up being slightly faster routing for both the home world and Dark Hollow together. About 5 seconds. Also, if you're, since I'm thinking about it, let me mention these dogs, of course. You might be wondering how I collect those dogs' gems by only flaming them once. And because I flame them, these ones I flame normally, but like, you'll see another single shot dog here in a moment. I'll either make them jump off the ledge, like this one right here. He jumped off the ledge, and this one I flame for the first time at the top of his jump. And what that does, it makes him jump a second time, and he kind of goes out of bounds. Or the game thinks it's like, oh, this dog like went somewhere he's not supposed to be, just auto kills him as a failsafe. In fact, this game has a lot of interesting failsafes. For example, I'll talk more about them as they come up, but kind of a reason why a lot of things are possible, like for example, Nestor skip at the beginning of the run, is because the devs had enough foresight to program void outs in case you're stuck in the flop animation for too long, or you know, just stuff like that. So that way it's very rare to actually you can't get truly stuck in this game as a result of little fail-safe mechanics like that. So I'll be sure to point out when those kind of crop up and how we can kind of use them to our advantage. It's a really cool, like, deep game kind of at this level because you're looking at all... Okay, take a look at this. Take a look at this. Jump charge, jump, barely getting up in there, all right? Now, I'm not going to slow that down. Days had made a couple really good videos about it if you want to check it out. But that's the first example of a boosted jump that you'll see. I'll do another one in Ice Cavern. They're not super common yet in the route, but I suspect that with time, people will do more of them. It requires a very specific... type of floor angle in order to get those boosted jumps. You kind of run, jump charge into it, and get the little skitter when you're holding square and X up a light hill. We call those skitters, where Spyro's going like up the hill. But by doing that, and then doing a skitter and then jumping on the next frame, doing a full hop, not a charge jump, but a full hop on the next frame, that's letting go and repressing X on the next frame, you can actually conserve the upward momentum from those little skitters up the hill to give you extra height on your full jump, which is, as you can imagine, invaluable. But it only works under circumstances. Am I sounding like enough of a nerd for this game yet? I mean, I'm telling you, man, I don't know what it is, but like, this game will just get me going on a tangent. Like, it's just tangents after tangents. But shit, man, if you guys are still watching the commentary at this point, leave a comment below. What's your favorite level? Favorite flight level? Go. I gotta give it to Night Flight here. I mean, this one's just the classic, like. But yeah, I'd be talking about shit like this all day on stream, you know. And I get a common question about this, is that like, does any of this discussion or these questions or what's your favorite level or what do you think about these mechanics? Does it ever get old? Like, it's surely redundant after talking about this shit for like so many years now, but it's like, does it ever get old? And I think the answer to that is surprisingly no. Like, I don't know what it is, but I just really like looking at the mechanics of this game and talking about them and joking around, and I don't know, like, it doesn't get old to me. I mean, if I were doing it more, maybe it would. But yeah, I mean, I think one thing that's helped me a lot in this grind is just taking periodic breaks. I have a very I don't want to say like regimented, but like disciplined system where I'll play the game every day. And by the way, this is thanks to everyone that supports me and lets me play this in place of a real job, you know. I'm able to play the game like 5 days out of the week for 2 to 4 hours a day. Not super crazy long streams. You know, I'm not like fucking XQC over here doing 8-12 hours, you know, reacting to shit like this. Like, oh, like, yeah, chat, like, oh yeah, this run's pretty good, huh, chat? You know, like, no, I'm not, I'm not like on that level with it yet. But, you know, and the reason for that is because I find the exact right amount of time to play this game is just a couple hours a day, and then after about a week, take like a day or two off, 1 to 3 days off from playing the game. You know, for me, like making videos or, you know, doing whatever else, maybe working on music, you know, who knows, or just enjoying life. I'm gonna be going to a convention tomorrow with Sarah that I'm looking forward to, so just life, you know, stuff. But then, you know, just having that like 5 days of like working discipline, not too much, but working, and then a couple days off, and then just that's like the cycle I've repeated for the last like 5 years essentially in this game. So yeah, that's roughly like 15, 20, maybe 25 hours a week at most. But over time, I think it's allowed me to have not only put in the most hours of any speedrunner that's ever played this game, of which I'm over 10,000 just streamed speedruns of this category. So just as a reference, you know, but also just like healthy, like active focus, which, you know, there's a whole discussion to be had about the toll that speedrunning can take on the human mind, and how you can really fall into a lot of negative feedback loops just grinding runs and whatever. Like, even yesterday was the last day of a 7-day grind for me, and I was just like absolutely getting all the speed depression. Like, you know when it's bad, because even the smallest of mistakes will feel like a knife through your heart, you know, type of thing. It's like, and you're just questioning, the insecurities are all coming out. You're questioning, like, why am I doing this? You know, like, what's the point of this? Like, am I just wasting my life here, you know? But let me tell you, as someone that's gone through that and gone to the other side of it, you know, to any speedrunners watching, I want to tell you that for me, it was worth it. It was 100%. And I'm not just talking about with like subs and followers and money, but like emotionally, intrinsically, this game has given me purpose when I've come back to it with a good attitude and given it time and had a healthy relationship with it. For so long, that it's really given back to me in more ways than just having an amazing community. But it's like I'm able to get runs that like no human has ever like done, you know. And those, it doesn't come easy, you know. But I'm here to tell you it's worth it to like spend the time like getting good at a game, even if it's tedious or dumb or annoying or it makes you want to fucking die at times. Like, it's a pretty cool undertaking, whether it's speedrunning or any other type of competitive gaming. And of course, you know, like, let me also say this to most speedrunners out there who are listening, like, you're probably not as far deep into the rabbit hole that I am. Like, just keep it chill. Don't overthink it, you know? Just keep it fun, keep it chill. Like, it doesn't have to be like, you see what I said, like, I'm not playing 8 hours a day. You know, I'm keeping it chill. You know, you got to find your way to keep it chill and keep it like fun so that you can offset that fucking speed depression that you know is going to be coming, you know, on a bad day of resets, you know. So keep it chill. It's not that serious, you know. It's just a fucking game. even if I have spent my whole life's purpose has been on this speed run that you're seeing here. Like, I have the humility to say it's not that big of a deal, and hopefully all this talk about how much I've played the game isn't coming off as too like you know, non-humble. I just want to give you guys like the perspective of what it took to get this run, you know. Here's a cool route here. Tuval came up with this reroute recently. Hitting this tough glide right here, which is, as you can see, very tight. Anytime I hit a tough glide, I gotta sit up in my seat a little bit, you know? So hopefully I can try to show that on the video. But yeah, let me talk a little bit about the attitude during this run a little bit. You know, normally when I get good runs of this game, I'm quiet, which is an interesting contrast because I'm a full-time streamer, so I end up talking to my chat a lot. I'll just say this point, like, I distract myself with the chat a lot in speedrunning, and sometimes that holds me back. I will admit that. I'll just give it up. Like, you know, like, sometimes I'm in denial about it. Sometimes I'm like, when people tell me in my chat, like, don't read chat, like, you know, just shut up and play, you know. I mean, people aren't like mean about it, but like sometimes people say that. I'm like, no, like, I can talk to chat during these dragons and stuff and the load times, and it's true, you totally can, you know. But at the same time, nothing's gonna beat just like ignoring chat and just being like fully locked in. Like, you want to minimize distractions in this hobby, obviously. That goes beyond just like live streaming and stream chats, but that also goes for your physical environment as well. I have to have a dedicated room where I should say I'm lucky that I have a dedicated room here where I can close the door, you know, block out all distractions and just play, you know? Like, if I was playing this in the middle of the living room, you know, and imagine my whole family's around, you know, well, I'd just be so distracted, I feel like. Have a pressing question? Because I will distract myself going into detail about it. Dude, that's so funny. I was just talking about distraction right now, like, in the VOD. It's kind of a miracle I didn't fuck up this Clifftown. Miracle I didn't fuck up. So yeah, to get back to what I was saying, this particular run, I was being a lot more chatty than I normally am on good runs. So it is kind of a miracle that I was able to play as well as I did. Honestly. I think it just goes to show that it's a little bit more, it's not so black and white when it comes to that topic. It's not just like, oh, just shut up, bro, and just focus. There's a balance you have to have of like, of playing and being focused, but also during the load screens, clearing your mind. And sometimes, you know, answering a question in chat or just saying some random shit into a mic helps with that mind clearing and recentering process. So it's pretty complex, I think, that whole topic. I think that's like an interesting gaming psychology topic onto its own, worthy of a video, perhaps. Distraction while speedrunning. Missed the little metal guy there, but it's cool. Got all the correct cycles with the metal guys there. If you do the camera wrong, one of the metal guys during that intro section can run like a little further, and it's annoying. But I think I got the good one on this run. Clean up that one for no time loss. Riding against that wall there, so that way I can actually get the red that's down there. You can also do a slide off there, where you sort of slide off the edge and press down on the joystick. I've been trying to incorporate those actually into my any percent runs. Here's Big Daddy Shemp right here. Any Shemp fans in the comments? Let me know. Go ahead, edit your comment now. Just leave it open. If you're trying to keep up with all the shout outs to blah 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 in the comments, if you're trying to keep up with all the comment shout outs, just leave it open at this point. Edit it and then post it at the end. So I'll put a few tidbits. If you catch every one of my fucking, you know, post a C in the comments. Like there's one of them. Post a letter C in the comments. If you catch those, you're gonna get a heart from me. Troy, it's going good. Chilling. So yeah, so we're getting towards the end of Peacekeepers here. Just looking at my splits, I'm on a really good. I'm on a really good run, guys. Like, fuck. No, it's just been like relatively mistakeless, and which is actually tough considering the Clifftown route and Dry Canyon spin jump. By the way, potential time save thing, you could potentially do the Dry Canyon spin jump without a spin, saving like a second or two. That's the thing. You can do that flame a little earlier off the ledge. There's a lot of like, if you're just watching like moment to moment, there's a lot of little like, oh, you could, if you're ever thinking, could we turn that a little tighter? The answer is usually yes, unless I can't, I guess. Nice little tactical roll there. One of very few that you'll see in this run. I do have to slow down a certain amount to collect gems, especially when it's a group of 3 or more gems on the ground, because Sparks can only see 1 gem per frame at a 30 FPS frame rate. That means that if I run through a big group of gems and I'm not manually collecting them while Sparks is, like right there, Spyro manually collected a red gem on the key platform while Sparks saw the other. You want to have a good balance of that, and in order to get that exactly right, sometimes you need to let go of charge and walk and give Sparks time to see stuff and give Spyro time to manually touch stuff with his body. That sounded suggestive. These guys, I found that you can charge jump into them to reduce landing lag animation. This is an alternate pulse from what I've done in previous records. I forgot who found it exactly, but it was proven to be about a second faster than what I do. Now here I go for a little jump, and very frustratingly missed. That really should have worked. But that is also potentially another spot where you can do a boosted jump, since the ground there is slightly angled upwards. Yeah, slightly different route in there. I still need to practice that little jump that I bonked on, though. It's so funny. Like, literally, PB, me, is, like, commentating the same stuff that I'm commentating now. Like, dude, I'm locked in, man. I got the fucking speedrun creator brain, I guess. I don't know. Oh, that first obvious mistake of the run so far. First, like, obvious, like, 2-second time loss. Drink my water here. Guys, reminder in the comments to hydrate. So yeah, I kind of want to, now that my thoughts have kind of settled a little bit, I do want to talk a little bit about kind of future plans that I have with speedrunning and video making. You know, guys, like, just in my heart, I'm a speedrunner first and like a YouTuber second. So, obviously right now I'm working on videos and stuff, but it's generally going to be like, for every 5 days of speedrunning and streaming you see me do, like any day you see me streaming, I'm not working on any videos or nothing like that. But I am periodically, I do have some projects that I'm working on. You'll see me with the slow drip of videos like I have been lately. I'll be trying to definitely post more on the second and third channels as well, just to help build those a little bit. Thanks for 2K, by the way, on the extra Dayo channel. That was like a recovery of a recovery. But yeah, just on the topic of just balancing work life, you know, because for me this is like work, you know, so in my mind this is like a work-life balance type of thing. Especially when it's like a hobby, you know, performance art type of thing, like streaming, you know, it's you really want to be into it. Like, it's worse to, this is how I see it, it's worse to go live and be in a bad mood the whole time. Like, to go live when you don't want to, like, just like you're clocking in or whatever, it's worse to do that than it is to just take a day off and just work on something else, or just work on your headspace and just go for walks. Let me say this, and this might actually be one reason why I was able to get the 119, is I've been going for walks every day in 2025. Okay, maybe not every day, but definitely at least 80% of days this year I've gone for, yeah, nothing crazy, but like around 5K, 5,000 steps, you know, give or take a few thousand. Every day, just going outside and walking around my apartment complex and, you know, the grass and the office buildings near me. It's been really head clearing, and I raw dog it too. I don't even like bring my phone. I don't bring like any, like, you know, any music or nothing. I just raw dog that shit. And it really gives me a chance. If you guys have never tried doing, like, if you guys are like hardcore internet addicted like I am, basically, you know, looking at your phone every morning and stuff, like, try doing that. Try just putting down the phone and going outside for a walk. Like, it's pretty it's just nice. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's gonna blow your mind or anything, but it definitely could be one reason why I might have had more mental clarity on this run than in previous years, you know. We're getting into the part of the game now where things start to get a little bit more punishing. This game has a very linear difficulty curve, so each homeworld you go into is going to be progressively harder, and that does apply in the speedrun as well. So in this level, if I miss one of these flames, for example, then I'm not going to be able to catch this stair cycle that you'll see right here. So things are starting to become a little bit higher stakes when it comes to time losses and time saves. Not counting like crazy, weird routed jumps, you know, like in Clifftown or Dry Canyon, which are already big risks for, you know, minimal time save, less than 5 seconds. And, you know, I personally don't think that there will be another like 20+ second time save found in this category. Unless Balloonist Skip is found and that is proven to be like actually useful for this. Like, I'm confident in saying that, like, if you want to approach this record or beat it, you're gonna have to just do what I did and just genuinely get your execution up to a ungodly level. Which, you know, that may sound daunting, but it's actually more possible than I think. Than you might think, because this run was not perfect. I didn't really say this much yet, but this run that does have like 20-30 seconds of room for improvement just from like mistakes and like shoddy execution, which in a 120% run, this might sound surprising, but that's actually extremely optimized. 20 seconds of time save across an hour and 20 minutes is like, you know, even in some of the best like Mario 64 speedruns, you'll see that. You'll see big time. Like, you know, it'll be like a perfect run except for like one moment of a level type of thing. That's kind of what we're dealing with at this point now. So my point is that like the general level of execution can still, I think, raise. I think I'm like hitting the ceiling a little bit in terms of the human limit, but I'm not like having sex with the sky quite yet. Or maybe I am. I don't know. Let's say okay, if we're going to make this metaphor of like how high I've gone, like metaphorically to the human limit of this category, I would say I've gone past the glass ceiling, broken through the Saboom roof, and am now doing drugs in the sky to satiate an otherworldly desire for speed. Now, with that said, you know, the sky, they say the sky's the limit, but truly you could go further into the sky than me, is what I'm trying to say. Like, there's the whole stratosphere and atmosphere and universe that you still can go higher. And even if there's no air up there, you know, metaphorically speaking, there's no time save. You know, there's like a whole headspace beyond like where I'm playing, and level of execution that I have not reached yet in this game. So don't think that this is like perfect yet. It will. The beautiful thing about single segment speedrunning, especially a long category like this, is it will never be perfect. Even after 12 fucking years, like this, you know, I still make mistakes in my, you know, nearly perfect record or whatever. So it's a pretty, I think it's pretty reassuring to know that like there's always room for improvement. You know, it's quite humbling, I think, which is why I feel comfortable speaking on these terms about like where I think the optimization is at in this game. The little sit up in the chair. That's like the third time I've done that. It's literally part of my muscle memory to sit up in my chair whenever I do like a tight jump. I'm like trying to get higher IRL, you know, into the game. So silly. You can already see in my Twitch and YouTube chat down below that people are saying, oh, this is it, this is the one. But let me tell you guys this. I see those messages and I'm like, yeah, right, buddy. Yeah, right. You're gonna be disappointed when I fucking throw this run. Because in my mind, it's like, there's no way. Like, it's so funny how, like, I don't, like, defeatist, for lack of a better word, but futile, I think is a more accurate word to describe the feeling of like when you're just doing so many runs and you're grinding so hard, you get a good pace going, and it's almost like this dread that you feel as you're going through the run on a good pace, that it's like, oh man, like this is so good, like what's gonna fuck it up now, you know, like what stupid thing is gonna fuck. Obviously you shouldn't think like that, right? But it's, I think in my mind, it's like you kind of want to accept the worst at the same time. You don't want to completely push away that feeling. You want to be ready for the worst, I think, in speedrunning. You want to be ready for, you know, being on 119 pace and then almost losing the run on the final boss to getting nearly killed by the final boss, which happens here, by the way. I lose like 8 seconds on the final boss, nearly getting killed by him. So I think it's that acceptance that doesn't make me choke in moments like that, even though it may seem like a very defeatist mindset. Perhaps negative to some. I think it's actually quite empowering to accept the worst case scenario in the moment of such a momentous, you know, strong pace like this. All right, still a couple seconds saved there. Not starting to notice now at this point, you know, I with that big time save in Alpine Ridge on world record, on the previous record. I mean, it's starting to kind of get like nerve-wracking now. I think it was chill up until this point. Now I'm starting to feel the pressure a little bit. This supercharge is pretty annoying too, because it's very easy to miss the metal guys there. Higher bit rate. It's like the quality isn't quite as high as normal. Side note, I don't know if this is noticeable at all. I didn't really notice it, but I was kind of recording this particular run at a 3,500 kilobyte per second bit rate instead of the typical 6,000 that I would stream to Twitch. It's just, I got one of those fucking like intro gaming computers, you know, AMD 6600, fucking Ryzen 5600 CPU. Who cares? But yeah, point being is that my computer sometimes kind of chugs and eats shit sometimes. Like I'm watching this record back on YouTube and just recording and watching back the run, it's actually really stuttery right now for me, so hopefully it's not like desynced or anything. I don't think it is though. I think it's fine. It's just dropping like the occasional few frames. Which, let me say that, like, since I mention it, you know, speedrunning and streaming, I don't do runs of this game without streaming it and recording it. And the thing about that is sometimes you'll be on a good run and fucking your internet cuts out, or there's some outage in your area. Like, I live in a big apartment complex, so sometimes, like, the kids get home from school and all the kids log on to Xbox Live at the same time, and the network starts throttling me because ISPs in America are fucking dog shit. That even if you pay $100 a month for the best internet plan, you could still barely get like 24 megabit per second upload speed. Like, which is just ridiculous. So hopefully, you know, these mega corporations will spoon feed us some better fucking internet, you know, throughout the course of our lives. They fucking better. But, you know, honestly, I'm proud to be an American. I know this is like a massive side tangent, but I like it here in America. Maybe it's just because I got Stockholm Syndrome. I like where I live, but, you know, it's nice to be able to go outside, nice suburban area, and just fucking feel safe. Like, I don't know. I like this country. Even if, you know, you do need to Uber to get fucking anywhere. You know, I just bought my girlfriend a $30 Uber right now just to get to the convention that I was talking about earlier. By the way, side note, at this convention I'm gonna meet Carlos I always say Alaquazari, but his last name is Alazraki. Alazraki, I think, is closer than what the fuck I was saying. But yeah, that guy is the voice of Spyro, so I'm gonna try to get him to say, like, what should I get him to say? Like, what about Nasty Nork? I'm gonna get him to say that shit. I'm gonna see if I can get a video saying that with him. That would be iconic. Hopefully I catch him. I didn't, like, pay for any of the fucking photo op or anything. Fuck that. You know, they say don't meet your idols. But, you know, the people that I've looked up to the most in life have been fellow speedrunners of this game or of other games. And I think a better way to say it, because, like, obviously when you meet these people that you've looked up to and looked at as like, oh, this guy's a gaming god, like, holy shit. When you finally meet people like this in real life, in my case, like Saboon, Chris LBC, plenty of other people whose names I can't even, like, fathom right now, but just those two people alone. Like, meeting those guys and having them have such a profound impact on my growth early on in this game really, it reminds me that, like, everybody, we're all human, you know? Like, nobody here is, like, a god. Nobody here should be idolized. Like, I shouldn't be idolized for this run. I shouldn't be like, oh, I'm so cool, you know, if I get, like, a bunch of subscribers or a bunch of views on a video, you know? It reminds you that, like, I think we live in quite an idol culture, you know, where we look at gaming accomplishments like this and are just like, oh, I could never do that because this guy is just naturally gifted. This guy is just a god, you know, or whatever. But, I mean, the truth is it's no coincidence that I've literally played this category more than any other human in the world. I'm not talented. I just believe in what I'm doing, and I'm just continuing to do it more than anyone else. So, yeah, man. If you idolize any if you like celebrities or people, you know, like me or whatever, that's great. I'm not saying you shouldn't like anyone, but, you know, like, you shouldn't idolize people. And so to get back to that quote, oh my god, this cycle, by the way, barely making that jump. That is a tough one. Shout out to Composer for finding the faster route for that cycle, by the way. Or was it Kara? I don't know. It's always Composer and Kara. They're like the dream team. But anyways, oh, so since I mentioned them, the fucking practice codes. There's if you're interested in speedrunning this game, there's a practice code Discord where you can download either for emulator or you could soft mod a PS2, which sounds scary, but it's actually not that hard. And run burned discs on a PS2. That's what I have here. You can see actually on the camera. I got my burnt discs right there in Spyro and my PS2 with the disc tray open, so yeah. And there's my OSSC in case you're curious. That orange little OSSC and my Elgato that I have to unplug and replug every time I load up the game because reasons. Ugh. Every day, man. Every fucking day. But yeah, I think that's the only thing that makes me special, quote unquote, is the amount of discipline, or just, I don't know, just the amount of time I put into it over a long period. But yeah, I don't look at myself like I'm like super talented or whatever. Okay, this was a big time loss. I had to turn around for that, yeah, I shouldn't have gone for that enemy right there. That was the wrong play, but I wasn't sure if I had gotten the red gem or not. And yeah, that's a really tough cycle. I was going for like the super duper cycle there, which, you know, yeah, just a little too slow. That was probably 6 to 8 seconds. That was probably the biggest time loss so far of the run, maybe 6 seconds. So I think all in all, like at this point so far, I've seen just by glancing at this run while ranting about nothing, I've seen about like 10 seconds worth of time saves of just mistakes, of just sloppiness to clean up, roughly. You know, I'm not like super duper hardcore like viewing. I'm just kind of This is just total like reactor, you know, shit right here. Like, hey guys, fucking Coco Melon over here watching the damn speed run. This cycle is hard to hit. You'll know you got the cycle if the guy is about to activate that first charge pad right there, which actually can cause a glitch if you touch the dragon at the wrong time. Where the charge pad is infinite. So once you kill the guy, the charge pad just doesn't let go of you. That's actually one of the few soft locks that do exist in this game. Of course, in the level, you could just pause and exit. But if that happens in the home world, it's a true soft lock and you have to quit game. I've seen people, and I've lost runs to that. When you kill that guy, just imagine the charge pad just keeps going infinitely. And you can't move because you're stuck in the zap animation. Such a silly thing. If you speedrun this category a lot, it'll happen to you. Don't worry, it will. Be ready for that. One of the best dragons in the game, Cyprin, just fucking laying on his side like no big deal. Really flaming these guys to make sure I'm getting them. You can see the difference of like when a gem pops into the air from a flame versus when it homes in. Is obviously it's a lot faster for the gem to home in. Unfortunately, on the big purple guys here, you can't flame charge them. The gem will always pop up just due to the way the gem spawns from certain enemies. The distance from their collidable hitbox just makes their flame charge home in impossible. But luckily that only applies to like a few of the bigger enemies. It's most enemies you can flame charge. Now, here in the homeworld, I'm going to jump into the lava, which gives me iframes, invincibility frames, to charge into the fireworks. So doing that allows me to not only sideswipe the first firework, but it also allows me to only take 1 hit of damage as well, as opposed to 2, if I hadn't done that. That jump scare dog right there. That's a tough flame charge. We're starting to get to some of the more speaking of flame charges, we're starting to get to some of the more challenging flame charges, you know. These fucking big hogs have big hitboxes and they're moving at like an erratic tempo, so they're very hard to time. The flame, again, you have to perfectly flame and run over the gem's homing position, the gem spawn point, in order to do it. Really, it's like near the start of your flames that flame charges have to happen. You know, you can't let a flame get all the way out to its full reach and still be close enough in order to collect the gem. So you basically need to time the flame and the charge in a very specific way. In fact, just to show you guys real quick on the camera, I don't just do this. I don't just swipe my fingers across the flame charge, because that's not fast enough. You need to actually hold your thumb over circle and square in order to do that motion. So if you want to practice flame charges, get good at doing that. That like hurt my arm to do at that angle. You know, actually, I'll take advantage of this moment to segue to hand pain. Like, have I received any like injuries from speedrunning this game or hand pain? Well, I do have this interesting growth here on my thumb, on my finger. You see this? You see how it goes like bloop, bloop, bloop? It's like a giant callus on the side. It's kind of hard to see because of the light, but there's like a big callus on the side of my finger. There's also calluses on the tips of my thumbs. All this skin on the very tip of my thumb is calloused up. It's hard to see. It's not like extreme. It's not as extreme as if I was like, you know, working with my hands like carpentry or something, but there are light calluses there, as well as my fingernail, my thumbnail length has to be, I'm sorry if this is gross to you guys. I know these aren't the most perfectly cut nails, but my point is they need to be cut to a certain length. In fact, these are a little long right now. I would cut these down before I did runs again, slightly. Not too much though, just slightly. So that way the fingernail glides with the tip of your thumb correctly. So you don't jam it, but that you're also not. Because I feel like when your nails are too short, like you're still jamming your thumb, just like folding it over the nail, you know what I'm saying? Which that's also uncomfortable. You need to have the exact right nail length, I've learned. Just silly like crazy thing. Oh, but to get back to hand pain, no, I've never really had serious hand pain speedrunning this game. I'm lucky and privileged, again, to say. I think a big part of that is I do not death grip my controller. I know that's kind of a common thing that happens, especially in speedrunning, where you're like trying to, especially in a very active, high execution game like this, it could be the tendency to grip the controller really hard, and you have to not do that. You don't need to do that in this game. You have to catch yourself when you're doing that, because you're just not going to be able to play for more than like for very long if you do that. Pressing the buttons really hard is another thing. Like, you know, when you hold X in this game to jump higher, you don't just press X to jump, you hold X to jump a certain height, right? So if you press X really fucking hard, like, you know, you don't need to do that either. You need to kind of get familiar with your controller's sensitivity, actually. I noticed from controller to controller, it requires almost... There's like definitely an adjustment period that needs to be made when it comes to the familiarity you have with your button sensitivity on like an innate subconscious level. You just know how hard to press buttons at a certain... That's like part of the controller breaking in process, is being like, do I need to press these buttons harder or softer? But obviously you don't want to just be pressing every button like max strength, you know? Especially with like that flame charge technique I was showing earlier. That's a very light technique. That's all you're doing is this. That's all it is. So it does not require like anything crazy. So yeah, thankfully no carpal tunnel for me. Look at this, speaking of tunnels. Speaking of carpal tunnel, look at this absolute disease of a room. Everyone had nightmares about this one. Definitely this one didn't go particularly well, but at least I kept sparks. I was very lucky not to get hit a second time there. So that was okay. It could have gone better, but could have gone worse, I guess. Jumping into the last 2 gems, you'll see me do that in a lot of levels, because then you don't have to wait for sparks to see the gem, pick it up, and for it to home in, because it doesn't collect until it touches Spyro's body. So it makes more sense to manually collect. You'll see that at the end of Treetops as well. This is some cool movement here, doing the charge jump, just barely on the right polygon to get over that. If you wait any longer with that charge jump, the angle of the floor will be too steep, and it actually won't let you do a charging jump, which is kind of an annoyance. There are some sections in the game where that can have a less than desirable impact. Killing all these enemies to come back through, doing some good flame charges on the little guys, even the big ones for later. This key and key chest can actually be glitched out, as can any key or key chest. If you collect the key chest in this level and then quit game, and then start a new file and come back to this level, you know, kind of like maybe say you were resetting a run at the end of this level from missing Stone Knot, well, you have to get this. There will be a glitch that happens where the chest won't open, or the key won't be like properly in your inventory. It'll be deloaded from memory, so you can't open the chest on your second run if you reset after collecting the chest in this level, but before collecting the chest in Metalhead. It's due to a flag that doesn't get reset, even on quit game, back to the title screen starting a new game. So yeah, we call that key glitch, and that's something to be careful of. I've definitely lost runs to that, in case you're wondering. So there's it. I'm here to provide all of the obscure glitch knowledge to you guys. I got you guys. Catching that green guy right there with the juicy pink gem. Love that. Let me know. Hey, let me know in the comments. Is it pink? Is it purple? Is it turquoise? Or is it another color? I always called them purple, but I think the consensus now is pink. As a culture, I think we've decided that pink is like the correct name. But then again, I am a guy, so like I'll definitely lean towards the more simple color naming rather than the more specific. Just dude things. Don't trust me painting a house, you know. I'll paint it just like, okay, where's blue? Give me blue, you know. Like a dark hollow skybox on that shit. Excuse me. So this trick is a bump called Stone Knot, named after the player's Stone Knot, where we bump off the side of that of the roots. You know, it's like kind of using it as a ramp to get up there without having more. You're supposed to have more supercharged speed and go around the whole level, but by using that bump, we can bypass that bullshit. Here you'll see me not go straight into the portal, but instead kind of veer off to the right. That's because portals don't load until the camera touches it. So I'm actually not thinking about how quickly Spyro can touch the portal. I'm thinking about how quickly my camera behind Spyro can touch it. Here I go out of bounds using this monkey. Very satisfying trick. It looks like it just like... It looks like it was like freeze frame one moment to the next, but you gotta keep in mind that while the camera was stuck behind the wall there, Spyro was moving out of bounds into the next area. And it is, you can die out of bounds there if you're not careful, just from not being able to see with the camera. So yeah, that was nice. This is some kind of tricky movement though, in 120%. A lot of people don't do that out of bounds in 120% because this movement here is kind of tricky. But it's still faster, I think. Nice bonks, by the way. That sometimes the game just hates you like that. I was joking about this yesterday when I was like struggling on my runs. I was doing like sparksless 120%, which yes, that's a real thing. And man, I must have been losing like game overing, losing time. I finished the run like 15 minutes behind. And all throughout it, I was memeing on God the whole time. I was like, God hates me, but you know what? God is good. Bismillah. Bless Allah with this run. You know, God has forsaken me. You know, glory, God is good. It's just like the most sacrilegious shit you've ever heard in your life. You know? Hopefully that didn't offend anybody, you know. If you are offended by that, I'm sorry. I actually respect and admire all religious beliefs. On that topic, I'll talk about really quickly spirituality in this game, which is, don't laugh. I have a spiritual connection to speedrunning this game, all right? Don't laugh. Are you laughing? I feel like you guys are laughing at me. No, I'm just kidding. When I'm on a good run, it really does feel like, you know, you're kind of, the nerves and the adrenaline, it really makes you feel like you're kind of tapped into the universe in a very real spiritual way. Extraordinary, you know, is such a word to describe it. It's intense, and it's, like I said, it's spiritual. It's my version of God, if that makes any sense, you know, like, it's my version of like, you know, sitting down at the fucking altar and praying to Jesus is like, I go on a pilgrimage every day through this game and I pray to the run gods, you know? So it is a very real spiritual experience, and I think I do put a lot of faith into the universe or God or Allah or whatever to in hopes that that not only I play well, but that I am blessed by the forces that may be to allow me to have a good run. Even if, you know, I'm a little bit off here or there, that things still end up working out. Or conversely, if I'm a little bit off, I get over punished sometimes as well. And I think a lot of that, guys, a lot of that is spiritual, but a lot of that also has to do with your attitude. You know, like if there's one way you can have an influence on stuff, it's by having a good attitude. And it is so much easier said than done in this hobby when you're fucking up. Even if you're on a good run and you make a couple of mistakes, you know, which that's going to happen too, you know, it's so hard to keep a good attitude. By the way, while I was talking about all that sort of esoteric stuff, I just got the first ever 52 Beast Makers on that split, which is a huge accomplishment. Again, like, many insane players before me have come close to that. Saboom, you know, maybe Adam, you know, other, you know, who knows, Chris. I think Saboom has gotten the only other person to get like a low 53 Beastmakers, but that's the first ever 52 on the timer on Beastmaker's exit. So, you know, at this point, the run is already, in my mind, like while I'm playing, at this point, the run is already historic. Like, it's already like, wow, this is a once-in-a-lifetime run, you know? And so, even if everything were to die now, which, believe me, like, look how close I cut this flame here. I literally try to collect as many things as possible here in the time allotted. It's like a temporary super flame. Watch, it's going to disappear right now. Look, oh, uh-oh, it's going to go away. Literally frames before it goes away, I do that flame. So, and I do this really tight fucking proxy as well. So, you know, the run just keeps getting higher and higher stakes as we go through. Like I was saying about that difficulty curve earlier. Like at any point in that, like I could have gotten an unlucky bonk and then my run's over, basically. I have to do like a 10-second at least detour. So things just get more, with the difficulty spike, difficulty continuing to spike gradually, things are just getting more and more tense. You know, these flame charges on these metal guys are really difficult because the gem spawns really high up in the air, as you can see, on the one that didn't flame charge. So sometimes you'll see on some of them, I kind of jump and charge into them to kind of help make it a little easier. Short hop flame charge, if you will. Or like I'll do a full hop and then let it descend out of the air before flame charging as well. You'll see that on some of them later. Getting some good gem collection there. There's a lot of grounded gem collection at this part of the run. And it's a good chance for me to talk about one of the only sources of RNG in this game, which is where gems land if they don't home into you. You know, if you break a box or kill an enemy and the gem doesn't home in, it's going to land in a small radius, which is RNG. So when you break a big strong chest or firework box, or you go into a treasure room like that, you know, you gotta hope, you know, you cannot have the exact same movement every time. Like literally, even if you try, it will not always be the same when you're collecting gems off the ground, which is another kind of cool, you know, it varies up the gameplay a little bit. It's actually, I would say it's a good kind of RNG, you know, it's like compared to other, oh, see, that was annoying. That should have flame charged. 2 seconds there, maybe 2-3 seconds. Things, I think, do start to get a little sloppier at this point. I mean, obviously, it's like, it's still really strong, you know, but I think we'll start to see some more mistakes at this point. We'll say I've lost, like, maybe up to this point, maybe 15 seconds. I'm trying to be as generous as possible. 15 seconds in mistakes. Now, with that said, let me reiterate about, like, the whole you can go higher than the sky type of thing with execution in this game. Sure, I may have, like, 15 seconds of, like, time save here, but you could execute another 15 seconds out of that. Think about that. For the amount of time I've lost up to this point, you can double the time save by simply playing better. It's an interesting thought. So if we really want to be, like, generous to the possible time save here, where there's maybe 20 or 30 seconds at this point, but that's very generous. If we're just looking at raw, by the way, I almost fell off without collecting that blue there. I nearly shat my pants. I, like, barely was, like, on the edge of that fucking platform. That was bad. That was, you can see in the camera. I'm like, oh God. Oh shit. Yeah, I mean, just think, I mean, I'm like, the adrenaline's pumping, you know, at this point. I'm like sweating. Even just watching this, I'm sweating. I gotta turn on my fan over here. But yeah, this level, Dark Passage, super pain in the ass. You know? Every level from here to the end is just a total pain in the ass. There's no other way to put it. Like, these enemies can snipe you, can home in on you, are hard to flame charge. These dogs, if you don't do this movement exactly perfectly, these dogs will hunt you down and eat you. Like, you can't, there's nothing you can do about it. If you don't do this exact movement that you're seeing, you know? You have to be so, like, prepared in a level like this. Like, if you're a newer speedrunner, like, learning this category, I definitely recommend spending more time on Dark Passage to the end than you do on any part of the game before. Like, once you learn the route, you know, and you're starting to, like, practice stuff. I'm trying to go for the double spring chest there, not quite hitting it. People hyping up in the chat still. I haven't really been looking at the on-screen chat there, but yeah, people are just generally pretty hyped. Yeah, especially after that Dreamweavers split, everyone was like, damn. Or Beastmaker split, rather. Look at that, I'm like, I was sniffing his ass. I was literally sniffing the fucking, mushroom's butt because I didn't want to charge into it. If I charged into it, then I wouldn't have been able to grab the gems on the ground there as easily. So I just literally just walked it out. It might have been just as fast if I'd have just charged through, honestly. Getting this guy into the corner, hopefully didn't quite get the good gem RNG there with that yellow to pop into me. And I missed that box there, hitting this crazy recovery with the flame charge. Great recovery. That's a hard jump, by the way. I say in the VOD, that is a hard jump. You try it yourself. Especially when your fucking balls are in your throat with nerves. Oh my god! The mushroom pushed me there, dude. I couldn't see super well, but I think the mushroom pushed me, which is another thing that can happen, especially here and in, just all around in Dreamweavers. When you spawn out of dragons, the mushrooms can proxy you if you spawn on top of them. They can push you and turn you around in different ways. And that can definitely lead to deaths in spots like that. So yeah, losing maybe another 5 to 10 seconds in this level, we'll say. So we'll put the total time loss in the 20 to 30 second range. I'm totally, as you can tell, I'm not being super mathematical about this. Like, I'm sorry anyone who's watching who wants me to really like list like the exact, you know, numbers. But again, you have to look at these time losses in, I think, more generally to understand them in a single segment speedrun sense. Like a human could eke out maybe 20 or 30, but someone that's like a lesser player might only be able to eke out 10 or 20 of that. And then someone that's like theoretically better than me could eke out 30 to 40, you know? So you have to look at it in those terms, I feel like. So in between that, 20 to 30 seconds lost at this point. If we're really being generous, you know, with the time save. And that's just of stuff that I've seen so far, you know. I've certainly glossed over some other mistakes as well that I'm sure some of you guys are just yelling at your screen like, dude, talk about the game instead of your damn how good you are, you know, whatever. Doing a nice little jump charge on that little platform while it raises to kind of give myself some extra momentum. It's an interesting topic of discussion, actually, is momentum conservation. Now, this is kind of a higher level kind of, you know, headspace to be in about this game, but I think it's a really useful one to consider, is that your momentum stays stored after charging and before charging. Say, for example, you charge from a standstill, you have to build up your speed value, your momentum from 0. And then, like, after a few frames, you reach max charge speed. Well, you can actually jump and then charge on the next frame to be at max charge speed right away. That's why you'll see me do mini jump charges, you know, in order to kind of get a quick acceleration effect. And then you'll see me kind of carrying those quick accelerations into jumps and off of ledges. So, you know, once I, you know, say I do a jump charge and then I jump, that's going to give me a further forward jump because I'm conserving more momentum from the charge. From the full speed of the charge. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool the way momentum works in this game, because there's a lot of like little tricky things like those boosted jumps or like the slide off strategies that I was kind of mentioning earlier in the run. Yeah. Ooh, that almost cost me another few seconds there. I'll say like 2 or 3. All right, here comes what I would call the hardest level of the run. This is Lofty Castle. And there's a lot of different, this level has the most different routes you can do, depending on your skill level. Obviously, I go for the hardest thing, which involves getting a supercharged bump on Turkey Island to get onto the Vortex platform, which is really kind of a 50-50 coin flip, even after being very well practiced with it for me. So it's a lot to put on the line here, but I'm going for it. Part of that route involves cleaning up this island early. Pretty much every other route of this level would not do that. But yeah, there's all sorts of things that people have come up with over the years, because this level is very oblique and open-ended with its gem layout and its just general, you know, walkable area layout. You can imagine that the developers probably intended for you to supercharge, like, you know, multiple times and climb up the castle multiple times, or death abuse to the top of the castle multiple times, and release all of these fairies in order to, you know, unlock these platforms. Well, we don't do that in the name of speed. So it really kind of confines us to a few, like, really good routes that allow us to abuse supercharge and get more height on jumps than we're supposed to skip these fairies. Pretty much all the fairies that I get here in this section are just completely unnecessary. Like, you know, like that fairy didn't do anything. The only fairies that you really need to get in this level are going to be these ones here, which I actually do a pretty cool strat inspired by Yes Wally 1. They're on that platform and then going that way. It saves about as much time as just waiting and hitting all of the grannies in one go, but hey, it looks cool. Sometimes you gotta swag out, you know. It's good. Little strats like that, I kind of joke about this. Little strats like that, you know, that only you do, or maybe unnecessary, but a little swag, maybe a tiny time save. Stuff like that goes a really long way in your psyche as a speedrunner. You know, you feel like a special snowflake, and that's actually a really empowering feeling. Okay, here's the supercharge, and then here's the bump off the fucking corner there, off the curb. Nailing it down and pressing triangle to cut off the glide. Jumping down and catching all of these turkeys. Unfortunately, Sparks was preoccupied, so I am losing a couple seconds to that. Having to turn around there. But it ended up being, I think, on roughly the same cycle anyways with that balloon guy, so it didn't really matter. Just slightly wonky. Probably another 2 or 3 seconds, maybe. So what are we at? Like 30 to 40 seconds of potential time save? It's actually kind of stacking up at this point, even conservatively speaking, like 30 seconds-ish at this point. Yeah, I'm gonna lose 10 seconds, I say in the video, because my previous record had a gold split here. So even though I feel like I've only lost like maybe 5 seconds in this level, there's another double that for really particularly insane execution, which is what the previous splits did. So 10-second time loss there, but I'm not counting all 10 of those seconds. You know, a lot of people may, I kind of was alluding to this earlier, you may take a little bit of offense if you're more numbers inclined. You may take offense to how kind of lackadaisical I am about measuring time saves and like really seeing exactly how many frames I'm losing or saving with stuff. But the truth is for me I just leave that to the nerds on Discord to figure out strats and what's faster and whatever. And the way I see it is like I'm the monkey that just grinds out the runs, you know? Like we're a team, you know? It's not saying the, like nerd in a negative. I'm a nerd, you know? But like we work together, the strat hunters and the runners work together, you know, and part of that is I have to be checking the speedrun Discord every day for new stuff, useful or not. I mean, I just like to, it's just part of my, you know, part of the way I like to experience this game is I just check in on the speedrunning Discord every day. And so if you're interested in speedrunning a game, I highly recommend, like, you don't have to be like super duper active per se, but just like keep your eye on this, on whatever Discord channel is relevant to speedrunning the game, where people are sharing strats and stuff for your category. Even if they're not sharing anything right now, you never know, like in a month someone might find something that gets buried after like a week that you didn't even know. I think that's where a lot of my more niche game knowledge comes from. Not from anything that I've found, but just stuff that other people have sort of dug up and figured out, like, oh yeah, didn't someone post about that like 2 years ago, you know? I do a strat in North Cove that was inspired by Lulu Patate posting a strat like a year or two ago that I'll be sure to point out. Backtracking here to get through the rest of Jock. You could death abuse, by the way, back to that dragon. Oh, nice. I got a slide off there, but bonked, actually, so negating the time save. You'll know when Spyro kind of drops extra hard off of the ledge that you got the correct slide off down press. Another momentum exploit. And, you know, waiting for the other jester to raise up here. You can actually do a route of this level that saves another 2 seconds by not waiting for that and doing a difficult, like, glide flop dealio into that platform while it's still raised. Pretty precise. That was definitely on the for the last few years, I've kind of gone back and forth with that strat. I do think it can be done in runs, though. That's probably one of the few risky strats that I have yet to implement that I think really could be implemented. Again, speaking to the fact that there's really, like, not much time left in terms of raw routing and time saves. Like, if you want a game where, like, you might find something new, something big, something whatever. I mean, low-key, Spyro 1 is not the game for that. I mean, this is very much a game of small, minutia, little half-second frame or two, like, little alternate route time save. That's more like what's going on here, as I kind of mentioned earlier. Not a very broken game in that sense. It's actually very strong. I think very well coded in that way, where there's, like I said, all these fail-safe mechanics and things that stop you from getting stuck or proxied or whatever. But still, you know, that doesn't mean there isn't some wackiness. Like in the homeworld here, as many of you know, you can do a proxy off of that rat right there and bounce up and skip North Cove and go to a Nasty's level, which we do in any %. By the way, it has been about a week, just like kind of like a little snapshot of my life right now. It has been about a week since this record, as I mentioned earlier, and I grinded any % like for the entire week. Like that's why it took me a while to get this commentary out. I was just grinding any % and Sparksless, and yeah, I mean, it's really funny to just go, like, to have the run of your life in the category that's, like, your baby or whatever. Like, this fucking category is, like, everything, my life's work. And then it's like, when you finally get the crowning achievement, it's like, you just drop everything and just do something else. That's, like, such the speed run thing to do. It's just funny. It's like, you'd think I would, now that I've achieved my peak, so to speak, that I would keep going until until I've officially plateaued or whatever. But I find in this hobby that while it may feel like you plateau a lot, like you don't, like for example, I didn't get this PB for 5 months since my last one. So while it may feel like you're plateauing in a game, you're not getting better, the truth is that every day you play the game, whether you do the correct muscle memory or strategies or not, or you're good or you're bad, every second that you play the game, you are passively getting better at it. Like, imagine like you're a Grand Theft Auto character in free roam, and like every time you're driving a car, your car, even if you're crashing all over the place, your driving skill is still slowly going up. It's true for any hobby, I think. Like, even if you're doing all the wrong things and not really learning much and progressing, those are things to address for sure, but just doing the activity, well or not, you're still progressing, and that's an important thing to remember. This is kind of the more Lulu-inspired strat that I was talking about earlier, those barrel guys. Lulu does flame charge jumps on them, which is tough in this game. You'll see more of that type of movement in Spyro 2 and 3, where they flame charge jump stuff a lot. And double jump, and Sproder. There's like a trick called Sproder in those games. Very different physics engine in Spyro 2 and 3. Very similar, though. It's a similar physics engine in 2 and 3, but it's very different from Spyro 1. This game is very much like, you could say it's like the black sheep in the trilogy in that way. You guys remember that website, Albino Black Sheep? Those were the days, man. North Cove. I have nothing to say about that. That was a pretty strong cove. I mean, did I fuck anything up there? No. Saved a little time on record. That was solid. I mean, at this point, it's kind of like, here's hoping for the best. I mean, most good runs come to these last few levels to die. From Lofty to the end, you know, is just, all right, how's the run gonna die here, you know? Like Twilight Harbor, there's this long supercharge. I actually lost my previous world record attempt recently in this level because the supercharge didn't go fast enough. That was heartbreaking. I mean, just think, for every run like this you see, there's just so many runs that make it this far but don't quite go the distance. That I'll begrudgingly finish and, you know, try to deal with and have a good attitude and, you know, whatever, and sign off for the day. I'll be back tomorrow, guys. We almost did it, but you know what? Hey, I'm still proud. You know, you gotta have the whole fucking pep talk, bro. I'm not even joking. Because there's, like, for every, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's just a lot of runs like that. that really get this far and fail. Talk about feeling imposter syndrome. Yeah, this is like what Lord is saying in the chat there. There's very much the sentiment once you get to Nasty's world on a really good pace that it's like whatever happens, like is whatever happens, you know. It's like it's in God's hands. Like I said, spiritually speaking, it's like God. It's in God's hands now. I do the double turnaround here with the suit. I could have done the single. I think I got all the gems there, but better safe than sorry. Doing that double turnaround looks slow, but it's actually faster than the next best supercharged strat. It's even faster than the Saboom proxy route. And that's with the extra turn there. Now, if you miss that gold there, it's slower. That gold that I grabbed right at the end. Ideally, you grab all 3 of the golds on that platform to make the route fast. This is a cool little reroute of this room from Tainu. Shoutouts again. I didn't quite finish my shoutouts like early on in the run, but shoutouts to Piggy Bank, Tainu, Days, Left Ear. I'm just gonna name every name that I've seen playing this game recently. Norkson. Who else? I'm probably missing people. Shoutouts to my inspirations in this category. Chris LBC, Saboom. Who else? Oh, there's other people. Those are just the names that are at the top of my head at the moment. Not that they're any more special than anyone else. Hey, if you speedrun this game and, you know, I've rated you on Twitch or whatever, leave a comment down below. I'll give you a heart. You know, because you're the one that keeps this fucking shit alive for me. Really. Alright, Nasty Nork, the final level. To those who don't know, there's a difficult trick at the end of this level called Credits Skip, where I have to bounce off of Nasty and then flame him from underneath, so that way I can Death Abuse while collecting his gems. That allows me to use a Death Abuse to skip the credits, interrupt the credits with a death, and then go on to the final level, Nasty's Loot, which is why this category is called 120% and not 100%, because 100% would be just beating the game and killing Nasty to get the first credits. But there's a second credits in Nasty's Loot that we need to get to truly, you know, complete the game. Interestingly, you know, about a year ago, there was a trick that was found. It was thought impossible for many years to skip into Nasty's Loot. Even though you could skip into, you know, the other levels in Nasty's world, no one could skip into Nasty's Loot for many years. So it was thought for, like, pretty much the entire time I've been speedrunning this game that you have to 100% the game to unlock Nasty's Loot under normal circumstances. And actually, there's a trick called Early Loot now that involves getting clipped underneath Nasty's world and doing all that to get into loot. So you can actually complete the game without 120% and get the second ending still. That category is called True Ending now. Look at this. This is, I'm like, it's over. At this point, I'm thinking it's over. I'm thinking there's no way. I just gotta send it, like, whatever. I get one more shot, and I get the proxy. Pull up on it. Oh my god. Fucking. I thought it was over, man. I really did. I thought it was over. No, I mean, just look at the chat. Like, people are like, wow, damn, the recovery. That is as bad as you can do credit skip and still get the trick. I needed all of Gold Sparks to do that. That's part of the reason why you want to be Gold Sparks going into that trick. Is so that you can, you know, Hail Mary like a third attempt like that. But yeah, pretty abysmal. That must have been like a 6 to 10 second time loss just on Nasty. Like, we'll say like 8 seconds. Again, I'm just guesstimating here. If anyone wants to actually calculate all of the obvious time losses, feel free to do so, and maybe I'll pin that comment to anyone who is actually a nerd, like, to that level. We'll see how accurate my guesstimation was. At this point, with all of the time losses, I think I'm going to guesstimate it's around 40 to 50 seconds, which is actually more than I initially thought, just like looking back on this run at the start. But yeah, roughly 40 seconds of time. I'm going to say 40 seconds of obvious time losses. And that tends to, I don't know what it is, but ever since I started getting 122s in this game, that's always what it's felt like. PB runs always feel like they lose around 40 seconds in mistakes. Even this one. But yet the category just gets more and more optimized regardless. Like, I don't know if you're ever gonna see a human get a run of this game that doesn't have several dozen seconds in execution errors. Because this is already humanly rare, humanly unlikely, just to have this clean of a run, you know? Doing the quick kills on those two thief planes. A lot of that is just based on your camera and approach to them. I go into much more detail about them on my tutorials. I have a whole tutorial playlist, by the way, in case you guys don't know. On my YouTube. I conserve the momentum from the glide so that way I can fly up more quickly. That's why I kind of do a dive bomb and then charge before that spot. Because it conserves momentum. There, you're supposed to slide off and then glide, and again, conserves momentum from the charge and allows you to go up higher, quicker. Really cool tech. And now we're just kind of cleaning up all the gems here, outside to in, really being careful and walking so that Spark sees everything. I knew that I had to not check. I had to just go in there. I could have checked the gem count, but instead we're lifting the damn chair, man. We're the full-on yell. I didn't know what to say here. I was like, oh my god. If you want to see the full unabridged pop-off, do check out the actual just raw world record VOD down below. I really did not think it was going to be that good of a time. I mean, it felt, just looking back on it, it felt like such an average run. I mean, I don't mean to like gas myself up about it or anything, but like, it was just a really strong pace, and I carried it to the end. I think with the best times I've gotten in this game, that's all it was. It was like, it was already a momentous run by the time I got to Dreamweavers, you know? So it was just a question of not fucking up too bad, really, at that point. And I did not fuck up too bad. I only lost a few seconds here or there and got the 119. That's pretty much what happened. And of course, you know, playing as hard as and fast as I can on top of that. Which is easier said than done in this fucking game. The faster, the harder you go, I mean, the easier it is to make mistakes. Anyone who's ever speedrun this game will tell you that. So I can finally move on. Those were my words right there. It's almost like being released from prison, you know? It's like, here I am in speed purgatory. Sure, I like playing this game and stuff, but like, you really get the fucking isolation of just being in this one thing for so long. You start to feel like, man, should I do something else? Like, is this even what a human was meant to do? But runs like this remind you that yes, this is what you're meant to do. This is like worth it, you know? And the good news is that even if you're having like the worst grind ever and the worst plateau in speedrunning, if you just keep at it and you have a good attitude, you'll eventually get a run like this. Or more. I've had several runs. I don't even consider this like my first optimized run of this game, but it is certainly the most optimized run of this game, with 40 seconds of time saved, you know? So just let that be a lesson. It's like, you're never gonna be perfect, but god damn it, you can do the unexpected. You can do the unknown. Like, you can explore the unknown just by doing the same fucking thing every day for a decade, basically. You know? And it doesn't even have to take that long either. But just as long as you got the discipline to just play the game a few hours every day, any game, any hobby, I guarantee you after a certain amount of time, you'll do some shit like this, like no doubt about it. So I hope this run, you know, sparked some inspiration in you guys. It definitely is, it's a very happy ending, you know, to see for me in this category. And yeah, I mean, I probably will play 120% again. Like, who am I fucking kidding? Happy ending. I'll probably come back and try to improve this record, and, you know, I'm not gonna pretend, like, I thought back when I got the first 120, you know, that I was like, okay, I might be done with this category. I mean, you're never done. You're never done in this. If there's one thing I've learned speedrunning, is it's never over. So in honor of that, I raise my hydro flask. I say cheers to you guys, all the speedrunners and speedrun fans out there. Thank you for following along in my journey, and thank you for just being excited about this old legendary game that means so much to me, and I'm sure so many of you guys out there. So in honor of Spyro and in honor of just fucking playing the damn game and having a good time, I say cheers. My name's Dayoman, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This has been the commentary for the 119 in 120%. Peace out, everybody. Mwah.